Hello and welcome to today's webinar, Maximize Bluebeam with the eXtreme Edition, presented by Barbara Thompson. My name's Alyssa Chartier and I'm pleased to be your moderator today. We encourage you to take advantage of our fully customizable webinar console by clicking on those colorful icons at the bottom of your screen. You can resize any of those widgets during the presentation. And be sure to visit our website, ASTI.com, to see how to achieve your design and business objectives through our innovative solutions, training opportunities, and services. And putting in a plug for myself, visit ASTI.com/webinars for subjects you're looking for. And before I completely turn it over to Barbara, we are going to start this out with a poll question. How do you use Revu eXtreme? And if you don't use it, send me a comment in the Q&A panel and I can tally up votes like that as well. But go ahead and click one of those radio buttons now so we can see how you use it. Barbara, are you there?
I am. Hello, everyone.
How are you doing today?
I am doing well. How about you?
Doing pretty good. What do you most often see people using Revu or Revu eXtreme for?
Well, I think, I know when I first started using it, I was in the last category. I thought, oh, printing and viewing, that's a PDF reader. And so the more I got into it, then I think the markup tools are really fabulous. And then I started doing some estimating, and now I most frequently probably use, it's not just an eXtreme feature, but I use Studio to save lots of documents and do some collaboration that way.
Okay. And I see we're seeing a lot of people. Someone said, what if I use it for all three of the radio buttons? Well, good for you. Yeah, that's good too. And another person said, I've used it to compare old drawings and new drawings to see the difference. And we have a beginner here as well. So welcome one and all. We're excited to have you. And it looks like collaboration document management is the winner of the day.
Okay. Yep. That's right where I fall in there too.
And everyone, continue to leave comments, questions, and answers. We'll be reading those throughout and at the end of the webinar. But for now, I'm going to turn it over to Barbara. Take it away.
Okay. Thank you, Alyssa. Start by sharing. Okay. So on our first slide here, so I only have a few slides, so don't worry, I'm not going to PowerPoint anybody to death. What is Revu, Bluebeam Revu? So it's very widely used in the AEC industry because of those markup tools that we mentioned in the poll question. Also PDF creation and editing abilities, document management, and the collaboration. So you're probably aware we have three different versions of Revu. Have the standard, and we're showing some of the differences here. So these are kind of grouped together, these categories in there, so the full list is available also in your software. But what we're looking at today are those additional features that we can do with the eXtreme version. So why we would use eXtreme? eXtreme can help you maximize your productivity, maximize your profitability using this addition. The biggest advantage you'll see with eXtreme is in your document management. Your day-to-day editing of the content and creation that eats up a lot of your time and keeps you from actually managing your projects where you'd rather be. The first thing we'll look at, and I'll switch over to Revu here, are some of those features with the documents. If you want to do more with your scanned documents, eXtreme can help you create your forms automatically, even from scans. We'll start up by looking at some of those forms.
Barbara, are you sharing yet?
No.
Oh, okay, gotcha, sorry.
There we go. Okay, let me know when you can see that.
Just give it a couple more seconds.
Okay.
All right, we're good to go.
Okay. So as I mentioned, you can actually start with a scanned document and use it to create forms. So forms can be your RFIs, they might be other just types of submittals that you're transferring between different parties in the project. So I'll open up this sample auto forms document here. And we have a lot of tools that are available only in eXtreme as far as creating your own forms. So you can also create a form from a template and use that, but if you wanted to create one from scratch and edit some of these forms, those tools are only available in the eXtreme edition. And you can also do this automatically using the auto create function. So this is really great if you have a form like the one that I'm showing that already represents fields. So they've typed it here in the document, added the underlines in there so that if you were to print this, you could just go in there and write on it. So we'll use the auto create in order to add these fields into our form. So I'm going up here to the tools menu, into form, and then we have the option at the top here to automatically create form fields. These are also available. We look over on our panel, we have the forms button over here. So let me just click this while I'm up here and automatically create forms. So in less than a couple of seconds there, now I have fillable fields that a person can actually just click into and fill out that document. So there's a signature field, there's a text field, select any of those, and then start completing whatever it is you're adding into your RFI. Other things you can add in here, your images or any of those. I have another form here, and we can do that same thing. We could do the auto fields, or we can also get in and edit this form and add individual fields. So this time I'll switch over and I'll use the forms panel, open that. So at the top here, we could see I can add a text box, which would be all those fields that we saw filled in the boxes in the previous form. This one, I would like some check boxes in here. And then maybe at some point we would want to add, we'll just do a radio button in there. So let me add that checkbox first. Go up here and select checkbox. Once I've selected that, the window in the area to place that checkbox, and it becomes a field. We can continue that. I'll add another one. Once I've added the first field in here, the fields will align. Let's zoom in there a little bit. So when I go to place the next one, it'll line up with that previous checkbox. I'll go ahead and do these last two. Now the automatic field creation or the form creation will recognize if the area that you're filling in there, if you had a box like this, it would automatically assume that you wanted a checkbox. If you have the longer lines, it may put in those text fields. You have options as well to fill out a list to select from, or a drop down that you can give choices in there that way. Go ahead and let go of that. Now if I select inside of those boxes, I've got check boxes. You could also add the signature field. You can either have a registered digital signature that you could place in there, or if you simply scan your signature, you can add that as a signature in your documents as well. Another feature we can use when we're working with scanned documents in particular is optical character recognition. So Revu eXtreme can take an image, any type of a raster image, and convert it into characters that you can edit. You can, delete them, add to them, and search for them in Revu. So you don't actually have to retype anything just because it was a scanned document. Open up a raster sample here, and we can see this was a scanned document. Someone printed this out, took it and scanned it. And I can test to see if the text is actually searchable in there. Turn on my status bar down here. So if I go down to the select text button, I try to highlight any of this text in there. It's just drawing a box around it. It's not actually highlighting the text. So we'll do that optical character recognition so that we can convert that to actual text. Go up here to the document tab and then OCR. Now, if you're used to the shortcuts in here, we've got a shortcut Control Shift plus an O. Let's go ahead and select this. Options with your OCR. If you have some text that might be rotated, you want to make sure that it can figure out that some of it is rotated. You can speed it up a little bit if you have some pages. You could do this in a multiple page document, and I could choose to actually skip the pages that were not scanned.
Barbara, I did have a question. Someone said, rather than having to put in fields individually in the form creation, can you use the tool chest to expedite the process?
Well, that's a great question. I haven't actually done that. I used the forms panel over here. Now, if we go to the tool chest, let's just take a look at it. I'll have to cancel that one. Sorry, I missed that question. I just realized there was a question in there right when you brought that up. And so that's our rectangle. So does it come up in the tool chest? Now, if there's a special one for creating forms, I don't actually have that one loaded. So I'm just using the forms panel here and adding those. Now, I believe you can actually copy and paste them as well when you're making those forms. Okay, so let's go back to our OCR. So we're going to run this on the current drawing. Now, if you have a document that's not open, we can also go to Add Files here and select any of those to run the OCR on as well. So I'll just do this one. Do OK. And it's processing my raster file. Okay, now we're done. So again, I'll just go down to the select text. This time when I highlight, I can hover over elevator, electrical, and now it's actually text that it's recognizing. I can also now use it with the search features. I'll go down here into our search panel and choose to do a text search rather than an image search in here. So I'll do text search. I can type in, let's just type in elevator and search. For results, so I've got one there. Just go around to our different elevators in the project. So that's a great feature because we know if you have older projects, maybe they weren't saved as PDFs yet, and so you're having to go back in and use those scanned documents. Maybe somebody has an archive of the, excuse me, of older documents that will be scanned. This will also work on documents. Sometimes I'll just download a test, maybe a specification page, and you can convert those from being just an image file, if that's the way they come out, and you can convert that into readable text in your PDF also. So next in our list of Revu eXtreme specific features are the batch tools. So some of these batch features will allow you to actually process an entire set of documents all at once. So some of them you can do one by one using the other versions, but to do them all at once, to really speed that up, you'll need to use eXtreme. So this reduces the time that you are spending on tasks like comparing your documents, doing slip sheeting, and overlaying to see what the changes are. And Revu can auto-match them either by the file name or by a region on the page. So if you've got the page numbers in there, you can match your documents using those. A lot of these can even be completed if the documents are not open. So I can choose it and say, okay, let's bring these up and compare them, and then do whichever operation it is that you're doing, the overlay or the compare. So I'll start off by doing that batch overlay. The tools are located up here in the batch menu again. I go to batch. I'll start with overlay pages. So in the dialog box here, we see that we're going to add one set for the current files, and then if we have some revised files, we can do our originals and then revised. You can add an entire folder. So I'll do that. I'll just say add a folder. Now let me get into the right folder here without doing a lot of clicking for you guys. So I'm going to add a folder called Overlay Originals. Select that one. And now I'll go in and add the revised folder. And it shows me the documents that are available in both of those. I'll match these up according to their file name and also their page index there. So we'll go ahead and click Match Pages here. So it says at the top I have 10 matched pages and 0 unmatched pages. Now they're doubling these up, so there's one of each, so a revised and an original. Then I'll go ahead and create this. It's going to create a separate file, and I can have it do a summary so that I can look through the differences in these. So I'll go ahead and say OK and let that process. So there are two different ways to compare your documents. With the overlay pages, we'll actually take the content on those, and for one document, it'll make it into a different layer with a color, and then the revisions would be a separate layer and color so that you can tell exactly which elements belong to which set. So go ahead and say create a batch summary here, and also overwrite the existing file. So if I'm going to run this again, I'll go ahead and just replace it, or else I'd have to rename it each time. So I'll say OK. So there's my batch summary. It's telling you which page I've started with, and it's overlaid it with the one that matched to that. And if we click here on the overlay document, then we can see those different layers. So we've got the green layer below there showing us something that's different from the original document. So I'll go over here and open up my layers. Now we can see that both of them are visible now. You can assign a different color to those if you choose. Right now I'll turn that one off. So the green layer is the revised. And then the red layer is the original document. So when they're overlaid, then you can tell which one. So I've got something, I had some hatching in here in the original. You have slight changes in the doors there. But then this entire area over here is all part of the revised drawing. So it makes it very easy to actually kind of track down those things that you can't tell if you were to just open the new document. You have to go back and forth switching on to those paper documents. So that's batch overlay. I'll go ahead and close those. And this time we'll do the batch compare. So this one will highlight the areas that are different. So it's going to just draw a bubble around the new elements in the project. So we'll go in here again to batch and do compare documents. We'll go ahead and add those same two files or folders. Okay, and then I'll add my revised files. And match them up. Okay, it found those pages to match. We'll go ahead and run that. Okay, so we have 5 compared pages again. I'll go ahead and just do the batch summary again so we can see that. Overwrite that file, and then I'll just say OK. So very similar summary here. If I go to the comparison document, though, this time I can just see where those areas are. See where all those new elements or the minor changes that occurred in a project that you may not notice by just scanning it with your eyes. Okay, so another thing that we can do to make it more efficient to actually work with a set of drawings. So I have a group of drawings. They have their page labels on them. And I also want to be able to move in between different references in the file. I'm trying to find one. There's a little call out there. So we can link these to the pages that they refer to and automatically go there by just clicking on those hyperlinks. So this is the eXtreme feature called Batch Link. We'll close this one up. And I'll go to Batch and then Link New. So this is similar to the compare and the overlay. We'll add the files. If I already had the files open, I could just select Add Open Files, and it'd add all the files that are currently open. Go ahead and add a file here. And let's see, I think I actually already had that one open, but just go back here a little bit. Okay. Sorry
Barbara, it looks like we did have a question. Someone asked, those clouds were added automatically?
Yes. So that's what the compare tool will do. It adds those clouds in there just to point out what those differences are. All right, let's do this differently. Sorry, I had that one open. I guess I closed it by mistake. Get rid of those. And we'll go over here and open Construction Set A. So we can see on this page, got a sheet index. And then if we go through some of the other pages in there, we'll have some call outs that will refer to different areas in the project. Doesn't matter which page I'm on, but I'll just go back to the first page here. And we'll go to Batch again, and then go to Link. I'm going to create a new batch link. And this time I'll just add, I'm going to get a bunch of files here. I'll add open files. Then, as we're selecting this, you can choose to do this by file name, or we can again pick the page region down there. So file name, you'll go through and you'll have to set. This one actually I find works better if you have separate files rather than a complete set like this one. So these documents have been joined together in a set that acts as a single project document instead of having to open multiple PDFs at once. So when I'm using the set, then I actually prefer to do the page region. File name would just be like what we did before, and it compares those automatically. But if I go to the page region and select, I'll zoom in down here for that actual page number. I could also add in the sheet title on here. See if it'll find that. Now the number of spaces in there, I don't know if that'll mess it up or not, but we'll go ahead and add another field and we'll look for the sheet title. And then OK. So once I have it set up, so it's finding G0.01 cover page, go ahead and do a generate, see what it comes up with. Okay, and so now I've actually gotten a preview here of what it has found and how it's going to line those up. So because these are all just in the same document, it can't really use the file name because they all have the same file name. But it's showing me which page that it would find in this construction set. So that looks good. So I'll go down here and click Run. Nope, and then that one didn't work. Okay. So I'll actually go back and do just the page number down here. And we'll take a look at some of those other options that you have to kind of work with when you're doing some of the other selections in here. So let's say I did file name. This one's just called Construction Set A, but if I had files that represented A0.0 dash and it listed the name of the file that way. Some of the filters that we can apply can help you just ignore what's going on after the dash and just go by the page number. So it's really kind of the same thing as doing your page region here, but if I go into that settings just to show you, this is the one that I use typically, first from start. So it's going to filter anything that comes in after the dash. You can also switch that to do it from the other end. You prefer to do that. But if I'm using this one, it would say first from start and then stop after the dash. Okay, this time I'll do just that page region. And okay, go ahead and generate that. Well, it looks the same, really. Now, one thing, if it doesn't work this time, I want to show you the other option. So you can choose if you wanted it to highlight it. So this should go ahead and put highlights on all of the different links. So this time it found 282 hyperlinks to create. We'll go ahead and do finish and close. And then I didn't have the highlight checked. So we can see when I hover over that, it will actually let me select those pages. Just want to do that one more time just to show. So if you actually don't want to see the yellow highlighting or whichever color that you choose, you could do it this way and just use the hyperlinks without the actual highlighting. If I have any references in here that I can click on. So I go to a plan view, looking for a section mark or something like that. There's one up there. Then I go up here. Now that one looks like it didn't actually get included in the hyperlinks there. Let me just run that again. New. This time we'll look at our options. And okay. Okay, and then we'll go to our link options. And so there, it was unchecked that I wanted it to include the highlighting here. So I'll go ahead and include the appearance properties there, and we can do yellow or whichever choice that you like, whichever color, and we'll do okay. This time we'll go ahead and generate and run it one more time here. Okay, and then we'll do finish and close. Just go back to that first page. So there we can see our highlighting. And I'll switch to the floor plan here. And now we can see our other markers in there. So we got our elevation. There's our call out that goes to page A606. So those are the hyperlinks. The other thing we may do is when we get those revisions, so you can go through and do a quick check, do your compare or your overlay to see what's changed. But then if you want to replace that in your set, we want to make sure that all of our documents are up to date. So we'll actually do a batch slip sheet to take out the originals or even just add it to either before or after the new document or the original document. And then when we do that and add it either prepended or appended, then it'll automatically stamp it for you as which one has been superseded. So there's no question about what the current documents are that way. So we'll go to our batch tool again and go down to slip sheet. Same thing, when we're doing all these batch tools, should look very familiar. It's really, you're finding the same areas in there. Go to folder and add my originals in there.
Barbara, I do have a question on deck. Can this feature establish hyperlinks across PDFs not included in a set?
Yes, it can. So these have been grouped together in a set just to make it easier to work with, but you can definitely just add those as separate documents as well. And all of these batch tools can work that way too. You can do either individual files, sheets, or you can do a set and you group them together into a set. Okay, and let's match some pages here. So it had a total, it matched 10 pages, 7 pages that it could not match. Go here and see what it came up with. Let's do okay. Now here's where we can choose what we're going to do with these files. Those are the unmatched pages, that's fine. If you wanted to keep those in here and extract them from the whole set, we could do that. I'll just go ahead and skip that part. And then in here is where we'll choose if we wanted to create a new summary again. Check my settings here real quick and make sure we've got hyperlinks, stamp dates, all of those. And then okay. And so there's our batch summary. So the revised page is our current now. If I go back to the current page, then This is the older one. So I missed that setting again. Sorry about that. Let's go back and do that again.
Barbara, quick question while you're doing that. One question came through. Do you have to view the PDF in Bluebeam for the external PDF file links to work?
Not sure exactly what you're asking there, Brad, but I believe the answer is no, is what you're asking. So do I have to have it open in Bluebeam for it to actually link these? And no, you don't. So it can still link them. And then when you go to select one of the hyperlinks, then it'll open up that document. I need to see where I missed that append or prepend option in there somewhere. Anything's going on here. Let's see. Okay. Just do that with one of the ones I've already used here. What are we doing? Slip sheet. Make sure I don't go too fast and skip over that option this time. Let's see, yes, your question there, Brad. So while viewing the PDF in the reader, for example, then if you click the hyperlink, it will open the document inside of Bluebeam. So one thing you can do is just set your default PDF reader to be Bluebeam Revu. And then you'll get the little blue symbol in there, so it'll open those instead of trying to go to Adobe. Let's go back here. Okay. All right. Okay, now the options down here, this is where I missed it. So it reverted back to replacing the current pages with the revised pages. So I'll go in there and actually say insert the revised page before the current page. And you could choose if you want these flattened or to unflatten it and then flatten it again. And then we'll do OK. There again are our unmatched pages. We'll skip that and then go ahead and say OK. So there's the original document. Now it has that superseded stamp on there. As I go to the revised drawings, and now this is the actual drawing in your document set. Okay, and I think I'll come back to your question there.
I've got these.
Okay, good. All right, so that was slip sheeting. So that's used again when you get a set of revisions. You're like, okay, which ones go where? Which, maybe you have two sets of drawings laying around. Which one's the most current? So it's very easy to tell when you get that superseded stamp automatically applied, especially. Or if you just replace it, then you just know that that set is the current set. The other thing we can do with our batch tools then is batch, sign, and seal. So you can add a stamp similar to that superseded. You could do that as a batch, but we can also add a professional seal, or if you have a signature in there, we can add this as a batch and then put it on multiple files all at once. So I have the file here. Let me go back to my construction set. So I have 48 pages in here. Rather than going through and having to apply my stamp to each of those pages, if I use the batch, sign, and seal, then it'll apply it to all of those. And again, if you have the digital signature, you can also include that. So go to Batch, Sign, and Seal. There's also a Sign and Seal tool down here on your panel. Batch, Sign, and Seal. I'll use the construction set and then go to Next. So in the dialog here, or this screen for adding your batch, sign, and seal, we have the choice up here at the top. We can add that digital signature. We can have it automatically place a date. Throw one of those on there. And then we can choose seal in the bottom section here. So I'll select seal. And then got the approved seal there. I'll go ahead and just use the seal that comes with Revu. Now, initially, it just puts them all up there in the upper left corner. So we can move that. The window on the right is called your preview window. So you can actually just grab that and move it to wherever you would like this to be placed. Now, I know some of the other pages have a lot more in the title block here, so I'll move it over here kind of to the side. I'll resize it. And when that looks good, we'll say OK. Okay, there's page A420. If I just flip through these real quick. It's not the best placement, but you can see that it's applied that seal to all of those. So this particular document, they didn't leave me a nice place to put a seal on the side there in the title bar. So that's our batch, sign, and seal. You could scan your signature. You could take a PDF and overlay a signature on it, make a new PDF, and actually build a custom seal to apply to all of your sheets in here. Okay, the last extreme feature that I want to show you is the quantity link tool. So quantity link can actually take your measurement markups and feed them into an Excel document where you can do your estimating. So I have a very simple estimate done here in Excel. I have some interior doors and the count on those. Or I can do some wall base in here, maybe get a total length going, and then add the cost to it and calculate and finish out the actual spreadsheet in here. So let me open a file here first. Well, let's see. I'll just use this one. And so the first thing I want to do is actually add some counts in here so I can start transferring those over. We'll just do a real quick count. So if I have a custom tool chest, let me see if I have one available in here. I replace that one. So we'll just do count. So I'll do the checkbox, maybe make something a little easier to see. I'll just do a triangle in there. Got my spaces turned on. Let's turn that off. Oh, okay, I got a miss there, huh? I'm gonna start a new count because I actually don't want that one anyway. Okay, so we'll just count some doors. Now the doors, I'll go ahead and set the properties for this. Instead of just doing a count, I'll do interior doors. If you want to add a label to that, well, I'll just leave it with, let's call this one AB1. Okay. So we'll add a few doors in here. And that's good for a start. Okay, so we've got our interior doors, got 5 of those. Rid of that. And I'll go ahead and actually bring the count in here. I don't actually have to do this. You can use a count even if it's not showing in your columns. So go ahead and add that one into the markups list down there. So I've got 5 interior doors. So we'll switch now to that Excel sheet. So if I open up Excel, the quantity link, you actually have to have the Bluebeam add-in in here. So if you have eXtreme, you can load this directly into Excel. So it doesn't really do anything with this particular command, but then it will actually add the option. So when I go in here to my total number, just do another one here, and right click and go to quantity link. When I select quantity link and create, okay, that was too, if it's thinking or what, there we go. Quantity link, create. Oh, Bluebeam. Asking me about my license again. Okay, let's try that again. You have to watch this really fast. Like a license acquisition. Okay, we're just going to wait for a second here, so it must be taking some time on that. So what it'll do is come up and let me select exactly which field it is that I am extracting from Revu. See if I can find that window that's flashing in front of us there. Nope. Okay, hold on a second. I'll go over here. See if I lost it. Okay, well, doesn't want me to show that. Let me see what this one is linked to, and I can just open that file up again. So I added this, and here it brought in the count from Revu. And then as you add to it, then it'll actually increment inside of Excel there. Let me do this. Let's save as real quick and see what happens there. Okay. Now let's see if it works.
While you're figuring that out, I have a question. Is the count feature only in eXtreme?
The count feature is not, but the link within Excel is. So to do the quantity link and actually make it a live link so that it will update is only an eXtreme feature. See if we can find that other source file. I don't know what is going on with that license thing, but okay. It's our managing, and I apologize. I'm not sure why that it's that's how it's supposed to work. You just add a quantity link and create. Let me see if I can just find that other file and then at least show you how it updates in here. So I pulled this one in automatically from a different file. Let's see if I can just locate that one. So I can still show you this. There's one, okay. So there it is. So I have some of the doors added in here, and these are the ones that are actually linked to this file. Now the actual linking process in there, it just asks you what do you want to set for the total, and then that way you'll choose one of your column fields from Revu. Yeah, whatever. So this one is already linked into the file. I'll just show you this because mine's just not working today. And then now I'll add some new doors into that file. So grab that count and then right click on it. Don't undo it. There we go. There we go. And I'll resume the count. So I had 18 in there before. So I'll go to resume count and we'll add a few more. I think I'm going to add about 10 more in there. So now I've got 18. I'll switch back to my Excel document. May have to refresh it sometimes, but we'll go through here and wait till it refreshes. All right, I just broke it, I guess. Okay. Now, when I did this earlier, it actually just would have, as soon as I switched back to Excel, it would show the new number in there. And that one said I only had 18. I guess I'm confusing myself. So let's add some more. Okay. And then finish the command. So now I have 33. Okay, that's why I didn't finish the command. So then we'll go in here and refresh it. Oh, it doesn't like my reference. Well, apologize, guys, because it's just broken because it won't let me create a new link in here. There's something going on with that license file. Hopefully you don't have issues like that. Okay, so that was the last feature that I wanted to show you. I'm sorry that it didn't actually work very well in there. So some of these features, though, how might you use them in your day-to-day work? Now, maybe some of you have some ideas. Where do these features fit into your tasks? Some of the things that I've heard from architects, say like the batch forms. You can do, your submittals, those RFIs, and doing them in the batch makes it a lot more efficient to do that. The sign and seal, with a lot of the building departments that are going digital, eXtreme just gives you an efficient way to go ahead and sign and seal all of those documents. And I didn't mention earlier, but you can also certify the documents. So if you have an entity that you're working with that requires that, you can go through and certify it and then go through and seal all of those drawings for the submittal. Same thing kind of with the engineers. They'll also use the compare and overlay. They get a new set of documents from the architect so they can see exactly how those align with their original drawings or the previous set. And they'll also use the sign and seal. So contractors mostly like to use the batch slip sheeting, so you can just get those new documents into your field set even, and keep those up to date. Also the quantity link, and it really does work, I promise you. It's just there's an issue with my one of my licenses today for some reason. And then also that compare and overlay, so you can see exactly what has changed before you maybe even add it to your document set. Okay, so that's all I have with the presentation part. So if anybody has, well, actually, I have a few other things, but not really to.
I do have one question, actually. How did you zoom in when moving the batch seal in preview before applying to all?
Oh, let's see. Maybe you can just still use because the preview, there's no dialog box open on top of it when you're doing the sign and seal. So I had the preview window over here. Do that one again real quick. Yeah, fine. And so it placed it up there, and I just use my mouse to zoom in on that portion. And you can also just drag it in that preview window to the location where you want it placed. This one has a place to put it. And you can resize it. You can also set the properties with your seal. If you would open that PDF with the seal, edit your stamp or your seal and set a scale for it when you bring that in. But that's how I did that. I just actually used the wheel to zoom. It's only a one pager, so.
Another question, where do I find more info about the quantity link?
So there is actually a lot of information on the bluebeam.com site. Or if you go into your help menu, you can look up a lot of these features in there. Get out of that one. And just search for anything specifically right there in Revu.
Another one is if you go to asti.com/bluebeam, we have quite a few blogs out there that get into some of the more granular stuff, and we also have some pretty intensive trainings as well. Just reach out to me if that's something you're interested in. But our blog covers a lot of these as well. And it looks like that's all for questions right now. Barbara, you can go ahead and end your screen share, and thank you so much for teaching us today. I really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone for coming.
And thank you to everyone for joining us today. We appreciate you spending your time with us and trust it was meaningful and impactful for you and your business. We look forward to seeing you on a future webinar. Thanks, everyone.